guys, my name is Zara from the Willow Tree Schoolhouse and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, let me formally introduce myself. I am a homeschooling convert, which means that if it wasn't for the lockdown, I probably wouldn't have discovered homeschooling and therefore I wouldn't have fallen in love with this journey that I'm in with my kiddos. Speaking of my children, I'm gonna go ahead and share their age ranges. So my oldest is 8, 5, and I have an official 19-month-old joining our life lessons here because that's all she does. She joins in on the life lessons that we have available and offer her. Yeah, she's my little tornado and she just makes it known that she's in the room. It's just so funny how I'm just well acclimated to the season that I'm in. Now, in today's video, I am going to be sharing what we do for our morning time. You've also probably have heard different fancy names for morning time, morning basket. I've heard other people refer to it as morning block. So whatever name that you end up using, it basically has the same reference where you all gather together in the morning block or afternoon. It doesn't have to be just in the morning. So I think that title is pretty misleading because there were seasons that I was in where we had to do morning basket before bedtime, and that was usually when I had morning sickness. But basically it has the same meaning, which you gather around and you go ahead and you invest in truth, beauty, and goodness. Now, I do want to preface that I'm a huge Charlotte Mason homeschooler. And if this is your first time hearing Charlotte Mason, I'm gonna go ahead and recommend this book. It's just like a broad overview. It gives you just basic information of what that philosophy encompasses, but I highly recommend reading the Charlotte Mason volumes. But if you guys are interested, I will link this down below for you guys to just check it out. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about morning time routine, but also know that just because I tackle it this way, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. Make it your own. This is the beauty of homeschooling. Adapt it to your kiddos. There were seasons where I had games included in our morning basket, where I had activities. It was beautiful, crafts, but because we have a toddler, I'm just not in that season anymore. I'm hoping to get there someday, but I know it's not today. Right now, because of her, we only homeschool about roughly around 20 to 30 minutes, and 30 minutes is pushing it because at that point, she is making it known, like, get me off this high chair. I want to be wild and free. And so therefore, we let her be wild and free, which also means that we tackle morning time in the morning while she's eating breakfast because it is the best time where she keeps her little hands busy and her mouth is busy as well, and she's pretty entertained. Okay, and so before I go on and talk about my morning time routine, I would like to emphasize, I'm not sure if I clarified this in the past, but we are part of the CMEC. It is our core curricula that we use in our home. It stands for Charlotte Mason Education Center. This is my first year actually using the CMEC. I've used Ambleside Online in previous years. And I have really enjoyed learning, and just like this overall support that the CMEC has to offer has been truly amazing, and I'm very grateful for them. I think their membership signups have closed for the year. However, you can still sign up for their informational packet, I believe. I'm gonna link their website down below. So if you guys are already trying to keep an eye out for some curricula for you guys to consider for next school year, I would highly suggest keeping an eye out for the CMEC. It's just been an amazing program. Listen, we are like halfway in term 1 and I've learned so much. I'm grateful for the CMEC. So I would not, like, I can dedicate an entire video talking about the CMEC at the end of term 1, like a reflection video if you guys are interested in that. And if you guys have any questions, just like go ahead and comment down below any questions that you may have. Now, with all that being said, this past summer, I went ahead and I dedicated basically my entire summer pre-reading all of the book selections that the CMEC had offered. And with that, they had also offered readings from Old Testament to New Testament for all 3 terms and exam questions. However, I'm pretty sure I've shared this in the past, but if you are new here, I was raised in an atheist home and I had discovered God after I had Eden. And this is an area where I feel like I do need a little bit of support in that regard, just based on my upbringing. And therefore, I went ahead and I snagged a Delectables Education Bible Lessons breakdown. I believe, and I'm 99% sure this is true, but I believe this showcases the Bible breakdowns that Charlotte Mason used in her time, but I'm not entirely sure. And so they provide scripture readings, and they also provide exam questions for all 3 terms. And so I went ahead and I grabbed this section that I was going to need that correlated with the CMEC assigned readings. And so I went ahead and I grabbed Prophets and Kings and Matthew. And not only do they provide the readings that you need for that term, but they also provide readings that you're going to use from your commentaries. These books you do not read to your children. This is just for you to keep in mind on what to talk to your children about. And also this is just for me, for my self-education, because like I said, I needed a little bit more support. Listen, I appreciated the fact that they did all the hard work in basically assigning what pages to read per Bible breakdown. And so if you are kind of like me, where you need a little bit more support in that regard, even if you were brought in a religious household, I highly recommend a Delectable Education's Bible breakdown. I'm going to link their website down below for you guys to take a look and see if that's something that may interest you. Now, with all that being said, the CMEC says that you should dedicate 2 times a week reading from the Old Testament, and then 2 times a week reading from the New Testament per week. However, because I'm also reflecting, I'm not able to do that. And so I have to adapt it and make it work for us. And so I try to get all of my readings in the first 2 days. It's just best for me to just knock it out right from the start, because something always happens. And so because we get the Bible readings done on the first 2 days, that means that on the 3rd day, which usually falls on Wednesdays, but not always, that we do narration. Now, after I do my Bible readings, usually Aiden, my Form 1 student, does oral narrations and we talk about it. I've also made discussion questions because he's a conversationist, and so I was well prepared for that. But on the 3rd day, I have him choose like a scene or a part in the Bible readings that spoke to him. He draws it out, and then I have him describe the painting for me. That's just how his mind works when it comes to Bible. Let me see if I can show you guys a few pages. This is from the New Testament, and this is where Jesus is talking to his disciples. And then we talk about it. So it's been really lovely to see what he's retaining, and I've noticed that he thoroughly enjoys the New Testament rather than the Old Testament, and I'm okay with that. Millie, who's my kindergarten student, I don't expect her to narrate. However, she demands me to go ahead and take her serious, and she wants to partake in that. And so I have her just draw a picture that just spoke to her as well. And believe it or not, according to my lovely kindergarten student, this is baby Jesus. Do you guys see it? But according to her, this is Jesus. It's just so lovely. This is going to be an amazing keepsake. I love it. Okay, and just for reference, this is the Bible that we use. This is Aiden's Bible, and he loves it. We've been using it since he was in kindergarten, and I don't know, he enjoys it. I've tried using my own Bible, but I've just noticed that he doesn't like it as much when I read from my Bible. So we've just been reading from this. So on the first 3 days, we go ahead and we tackle the Bible readings and narration. And then I'm also left with 2 days in that spot where I don't have Bible readings to read to my children. So instead, this is what I read to them. And so we go ahead and we read from our daily devotional. We love it. And so like, if you haven't heard about this book, highly recommend it. They mesh science and God together, and they explain it so beautifully. I highly recommend it. I will link it below, but there's other versions of this. This is actually the 2nd book. I read the Indescribable, and this is the Wonder of Creation. Now, once we finish our daily devotional devotional, which actually takes us about 2 to 3 minutes because they're pretty short and sweet. We go ahead and we read a wonder book for boys and girls. Now, one of the main reasons why we leave this for Thursdays and Fridays is because Aiden and Millie, they love this book. They are enthralled by the story that we're on, which is The Gorgon's Head. This is a CMEC book selection. I'm not going to link this book down below because I really don't want to step on their toes. They did all the hard work, but I highly recommend this. This is geared for ages 9 and up, but my kindergarten student has been following along and has been enjoying it. The vocabulary is so enriching and so beautiful. I, as an adult, I've enjoyed, when I was pre-reading this book, I enjoyed every single part of this book, and I knew that my kids were going to love it. Now, this part will stay consistent and throughout the entire week, which is the recitation block. Now, if you find any of this confusing, at the end of this video, I will show you guys how I map this out throughout the week so you guys can see, because I brain dump everything just so I don't miss anything. But if you're a part of the CMEC, they have this notebook called the TBG notebook available to you free as part of being a member of the CMEC program, which has all of like the TBG aspects included in that notebook. They also have all of like the recitations that you're going to tackle in that school year. If you are part of the CMEC, you can actually purchase a physical copy through Riverbend Press. However, because I wanted to adapt this and make it my own, I went ahead and I just printed it and made it, put it all together. So we all have our notebook. So this is mine, which will have everything that I'm gonna need for all of my students. This is Aiden's, and then this is Millie. Now, I color coordinated all the tabs, and they look similar in the other two notebooks, just for Millie to know which section she needs to turn to. Now, for that day, if we are recitating for poetry, I go ahead and I say, open up the blue tab. And so she sees the dark blue tab, she opens it up, and then therefore I tell her what page to turn to, and she already marked what poem she wants to recite. And so we work on that. On my notebook, I have the term 1 breakdown for all of my readings, and that's just for me to visualize what I need to get done for that day, in case I missed anything. And then I also have our maps that we're going to utilize for tales, and then maps that we're going to need for geography. And these maps are maps that I made notes on while I was pre-reading. And then I have a Year of Tales character back here because that's the component that I still want to continue on from a year of learning. We've used the Year of Tales for 2 straight years with my kindergarten students. Still want to continue on with the character aspect because I've noticed that last year, whenever we were assigned a specific character for that week, it just so happened that it was the character that we just needed to learn. It just so happened. So, and after we work on our recitation, we also listen to whatever is scheduled on that day for music, and that's either composer study, hymns and folk songs, or Spanish songs. And we loop those throughout the week. Sometimes we play composer throughout our lessons, or sometimes hymns and folk songs, whatever the kids are in the mood for. We go ahead and we have that playing in the background. But after we listen to that, we work on our artist study that's scheduled from the CMEC. This term is Rafael Sancio. I bought these prints from the Riverbend Press. I bought 2 of those. I bought the bigger size and the smaller size because the smaller size, Millie likes to look at the smaller size, believe it or not. But I also like to stick these in a photo album, so at the end of the year, they have a whole collection of all of the prints that we learned about. So we tackle this, and this takes no more than 5 minutes, if that. The CMEC went ahead and they provided a form guide and fun facts to read to your students about these specific prints, or about the artist, or the purpose that you want your children to gain from these prints. They also share about that, and so it's really insightful and just have in mind. Now, on the days that I feel like we're moving quickly and there's still room on the timer and Ari is cooperative, I go ahead and I work on our Spanish lessons. This year, Not only am I using Beautiful Mundo because of their picture book selections and their songs, but I also decided to go ahead and use the Speaking Spanish with Miss Mason and Francois. I believe you purchase this Cherry del Press. Whatever format you decide to go for, they also have an MP3 available for the audio version for you to hear the correct dialect. Because I'm a native Spanish speaker, I decided not to purchase that, and I feel like my kids have retained well. Now, this is like the Charlotte Mason way of teaching Spanish. Beautiful Mundo is Charlotte Mason inspired, and this is super comprehensive as well because it teaches you vocabulary. They provide songs, a book to read that week, games, poetry, and then conversational phrase or passage to talk to your children directly. And then they also, like I said, they have this portion of the language corner to go ahead and talk to your children about. I have a video doing a thorough flip through of this program. I will link it down below for you guys to check it out. I do have a code available. If you decide to go for this program, I have a code available. I will link it down below, and you can save money when you check out. And I know this was a lot. It is a lot. And for me, in order to not forget any of like the stuff that we need to tackle for morning time, I need a way to properly brain dump what we need to get done in an organized way where then I can transfer that list over to my planner. And so I went ahead and I purchased, a couple weeks ago, I purchased a morning time planner. I forgot where I bought it from. I'll link her website down below for you guys to take a look if this interests you. But from all of the sheets that was available in that planner, I've only found one that I've used on a weekly basis and has helped me keep myself organized and sane, obviously. And it was this term schedule. Now, I have it where on top there's like a daily breakdown, and then I dedicate these 2 boxes to my Bible reading. I'm just gonna share with you guys last week's that I forgot to cross off. All right, so day 1 was Labor Day, so I didn't tackle anything that day. But here's day 2. Our Old Testament readings, New Testaments, what we're looping for a recitation. This box is basically for recitation. So student model for day 2, scripture, hymns and folk songs, poetry. And then here on this 4th box, we tackle songs. And I try to loop those. So Spanish songs composer, Spanish songs composer. And because on day 4 and 5, we don't have Bible readings, we just have a wonder book, I go ahead and I squeeze in hymns and folk songs. But like I said, I also squeeze in those songs throughout the week during our lessons anyways. It plays in the background. And then at the end, I try to stay consistent with artist study. Doesn't always happen, but I try to stay consistent and I check off when we do. And then this is just like for me to keep in mind of like what I need to loop for recitation. Whew. That was a lot. I need a little bit of tea break. Now, if you found this video to be at all beneficial, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel if you're not already. I just hope that this breakdown simplified and gave you guys ideas on how to make it your own. But know that if you tackle it differently, you're not doing it wrong. I have been in the seasons where morning time lasted for about an hour, and that's because I was able to put in all of our family subjects in there. But because I'm in a season where I'm just not allowed to do that anymore, and it's just a temporary season. I'm trying to put it out there to manifest it. It's just a temporary season. It's not always gonna look like that, right? Now, before I conclude this video, I will like to go ahead and share that I do plan on releasing videos, kind of like similar to this one, on how I tackle certain subjects using the Charlotte Mason way of teaching. Now, if that interests you, can you go ahead and comment down below which subject you guys would like for me to tackle next? Now, thank you guys so much for sticking around, and I will see you guys next time.